It was an autumn night, with a starry sky and a bright full moon that timidly illuminated the deserted road ahead. Alex, a 25-year-old young adventurer, was at home, thinking about how much he missed his grandparents. They were his connection to childhood, with fascinating stories about ancient times and the unconditional love that only grandparents can offer. Alex hadn't visited them in a while, and nostalgia tormented him. After long reflection, he made an impulsive decision. Alex was determined to visit his grandparents that night, despite knowing that the trip would be long and that he would arrive late. He felt like he couldn't wait any longer to satisfy the longing he felt. He grabbed his car keys and drove off, leaving a quick message for his parents that he was on his way to his grandparents' house. The road was quiet, with only the soft sound of tires cutting across the asphalt. The trees seemed to touch the sky, creating eerie shadows in the moonlight. Despite the beauty of the night, a feeling of restlessness began to grow within Alex as he walked down the dark road. It was as if something was watching him from the shadows, a sensation he couldn't rationally explain. To ward off the fear that was beginning to emerge, Alex turned on the radio and tuned in to a calm music station. He tried to distract himself with soft melodies as he drove along the deserted road. He called friends and family, talking to them about his overnight trip, but nothing seemed to dispel the discomfort he felt. As the night wore on, the road seemed to become even more deserted. It was as if the world around him was plunged into a deep and mysterious darkness. Alex tried to convince himself that it was all just his imagination, but the feeling of restlessness persisted. It was then that he saw something unbelievable on the side of the road. A pale, translucent figure emerged from the shadows, appearing to float in the air. It was a woman wearing a white dress and barefoot. Her long black hair fluttered in the wind, as if alive. Her back was to the road, and Alex could see that she was staring into the dark forest to her right. Alex's heart sped up, and he slowed the car. The woman seemed to be in a trance, as if she were being drawn to the forest. He rolled down the window and called to her, asking if she needed help. The woman didn't respond, as if she were oblivious to his presence. With a feeling of dread, Alex got out of the car and approached the ghostly woman. He reached out to touch her, but just as his fingers were about to do so, the woman slowly turned to face him. His eyes were empty, lifeless, and his mouth opened in a silent scream that chilled Alex's blood. The ghost woman's silent scream echoed in Alex's mind, filling him with indescribable terror. He backed away quickly and stumbled backwards, falling to the ground as the figure continued to move towards him. The white dress and black hair fluttered as if touched by an invisible wind. The ghost woman stood a few feet away, her empty eyes fixed on Alex's. He tried to mumble words of comfort, but his voice came out shaky and inaudible. Whatever this apparition was, it had no friendly intention. Desperate, Alex finally managed to get up and ran back to the car. The key was still in the ignition, and he started the engine without thinking twice. The car roared to life, and he sped off, leaving behind the frightening figure that had threatened him. As he drove at high speed down the dark road, Alex tried to understand what had happened. Was that just a hallucination? A supernatural apparition? The woman's unsettling presence continued to torment his thoughts, and he knew he needed to find answers. He finally arrived at his grandparents' house, with his heart still racing and a feeling of terror that wouldn't leave him. Alex's grandparents welcomed him warmly, but were worried about his condition. They insisted that he stay the night, but Alex was determined to get back on the road and investigate what he had seen. He shared the strange experience with his grandparents, hoping they would have some explanation. His grandfather, a man of few words, looked thoughtfully at the full moon that shone outside. His grandmother, on the other hand, began to tell stories about ancient legends of the region, stories about tormented spirits that roamed the forest at night. She mentioned that some believed these spirits were trapped on Earth due to unresolved tragedies, and that they appeared to the living for help. These stories sent chills down Alex's spine, as he realized that the ghost woman he had encountered could be one of those lost souls, doomed to repeat her tragic fate until someone helps her find peace. With this new information, Alex decided to get back on the road that night to seek the truth. He was determined to find out more about the ghost woman and, perhaps, help her find the peace she was searching for. His grandparents tried to dissuade him, worried for his safety, but Alex was determined to face the unknown and unravel the supernatural mystery that haunted him. Alex came to the decision that he needed to get back on the road that same night to solve the mystery of the ghost woman who was haunting him. He didn't know what to expect, but he was determined to find answers and, if possible, help the tormented soul find peace. As he drove back onto the dark road, a sense of relief and resolution washed over him. He didn't know if he had truly helped the ghost woman, but he felt that he had accomplished his mission of facing the unknown. The night trip had turned into a terrifying but also eye-opening experience that would leave him with haunted memories for the rest of his life. The full moon still shone in the sky, casting a ghostly light over the dark road and the forest to its right. As he approached the place where he had first met the woman, the feeling of unease returned. He could feel an otherworldly presence, as if something was watching him from the shadows. When Alex reached the exact spot where he had seen the woman, she was no longer there. However, a sense of presence was present, as if something was waiting for him. He got out of the car and walked along the side of the road, watching the dark forest with watchful eyes. It was then that he heard a subtle sound, like a distant murmur. It was as if someone was whispering unintelligible words. Alex followed the sound, entering the dark forest with cautious steps. The feeling of uneasiness persisted, but he was determined to discover the truth. As he progressed through the forest, the whispers became more audible, but he still couldn't make out the words. The moon cast ominous shadows between the trees, creating a frightening scene. He felt like he was approaching something that was hidden in the darkness. Finally, he arrived at a clearing in the heart of the forest. There, he saw the ghost woman once again. She stood in the center of the clearing, her white dress shining in the moonlight. Its empty eyes were fixed on Alex's, as if it were waiting for him. He approached her carefully, not wanting to scare her. He could hear the whispers now, words that sounded like a cry for help. The ghost woman reached out her hand towards him, as if she was begging for something. With a lump in his throat, Alex tried to talk to her, asking what had happened and how he could help her. The woman didn't respond with words, but her memories began to unfold before Alex's eyes. He saw flashes of a past life, a tragic love story, and an untimely death. The woman was Isabella, a young woman who had fallen in love with a forbidden man. Her passion led her to a tragic fate, and her soul was trapped in the forest, wandering in search of redemption. She had been betrayed and needed to find a way to free her soul from the eternal cycle of suffering. Understanding Isabella's sad story, Alex promised to help her. He knew he could not bring back what had been lost, but he was determined to help the tormented soul find peace. He closed his eyes and whispered words of comfort, promising that he would do everything he could to help her move forward. When Alex opened his eyes, Isabella was gone, and the clearing was silent. The restless feeling had dissipated, and the dark forest seemed calmer. Alex knew he had done the right thing, and that Isabella's soul was finally free. He returned home with a sense of peace and accomplishment. The night trip had turned into a supernatural journey that would take him to unimaginable places. Alex learned that sometimes facing the unknown can bring not just fear. After his experience with Isabella, the ghost woman, Alex returned to his grandparents' house with a feeling of peace and fulfillment that he had never experienced before. He shared his supernatural journey with them, describing how he had helped the tormented soul find peace. His grandparents listened attentively and nodded, as if they knew Alex had done something incredibly meaningful. They explained that sometimes lost souls needed help from someone who was willing to face the unknown and believe in the possibility of redemption. Alex spent the night at his grandparents' house, feeling closer to them than ever. They shared stories of their own supernatural experiences and how they learned to respect the unseen world that often interacts with ours. The next morning, Alex said goodbye to his grandparents with tears in his eyes and a heart full of gratitude. He knew that overnight trip had changed his life in profound and meaningful ways. He was determined to take the lessons he learned with him and embrace the journey that lay ahead. As the months passed, Alex continued his search for the unknown and the supernatural. He studied local legends, ghost stories, and supernatural experiences of people around the world. He became a truth seeker, someone who was willing to face mystery and discover the unexplainable. In his travels around the world, Alex found others who shared his passion for exploring the supernatural. They formed a community of ghost hunters and researchers of the unknown, working together to uncover mysteries and help lost souls find peace. However, Alex never forgot Isabella and the transformation she brought to his life. He believed his nightly journey had prepared him to face even greater challenges, and he was determined to continue exploring the world of the supernatural in search of answers. As the years passed, Alex became a renowned expert on paranormal activity and a successful author of books on the subject. He traveled the world sharing his experiences and knowledge, inspiring others to explore the unknown and believe in the power of personal transformation. The overnight trip that had begun as an impulsive decision had turned into a journey of self-discovery and redemption. Alex learned that the world of the supernatural was vast and mysterious, full of untold stories and mysteries to be uncovered. At the end of his life, Alex looked back with gratitude for having had the courage to face the unknown and for having found peace and fulfillment on his supernatural journey. He knew that his quest for the unexplainable had paid off, and he left a legacy of curiosity and courage for future generations. Alex's story, the nighttime journey that transformed him, would continue to inspire others to explore the supernatural and believe in the power of personal transformation. For, as he had learned, sometimes it is in the scariest and most challenging experiences that we find our true essence and purpose in life.